was hoping that Phil could Skype in, or at least call on the phone. Well, happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to Tom's Guitar Show. I'm Guitar Tom. They call me Guitar Tom because I'm often seen with a guitar, and they call me on the phone and they say, "Hey, man, what's your show about anyway?" I say, "It's about an hour about guitar players, guitar playing, and all things guitaristic." So if you want to call me up and ask me a question about your guitar, the care and feeding of your guitar, what kind of guitar is right for you, maybe some related topic like the guitarrón, guitarra, cithara, whatever. Banjos, balalaikas, bazookas, bajos, sextos, chitoles, mandolins, mandoras, lutes, ouds, vihuelas. A, B flat, and C clarinets. Yeah. I mean, pipe organs, piccolos, ocarinas, accordions, harmoniums or harmonicas. Seem to have some trouble. I tried to take a guitar with me. I didn't think it was going to mind if it got cold. This is a Mexican-made Fender Blacktop. It's a Fender made in down the Baja Peninsula someplace, and built like a tank. Yeah, what was I saying? Pipe organs, piccolos, harmoniums, harpsichords, harmonicas, clarinets, clavinets, sackbuts, crumhorns, chordholts, bajos, sextos. Anything you can. Tiples, cavaquinhos, anything you can play. Timpanis and timbales. Want to talk about politics, world events, or your own personality problems? That's fine. We're here for you on Tom's Guitar Show, but keep it clean. This is a family program. Okay. Anyway, we're back on the job here. Do about 49 or 50 shows a year, I suppose. We had to take 2 weeks off for the holidays or whatever, for the winter break. Guess a lot of things must have happened, but that's neither here nor there. Now, I didn't actually exactly buy a new guitar. I swapped my Dan Electro baritone guitar for this Agile or I think it's called an Agile, um, which is a brand I'd never heard of, but it's a baritone guitar. It actually plays a little better than my Danelectro. Danelectro is kind of interesting, kind of funky. I don't know if I'll be violating anything, but it's down in the Musician's Pro Shop. It'll be probably on the wall by now. It's for sale as a used guitar, but anyway. So this is my new baritone guitar, and then I also did a little swap-a-roo. I got this amp here. This is an older Peavey Bandit 112, and it's an interesting amp. I just, I haven't actually plugged it in. This is the first time I plugged it in myself. I tried it out in the guitar shop a couple times, and then it's an older model, and it's kind of interesting. I think there's a lot of potential. It's also very powerful. It's turned down really low right now, but. So. Anyway, nice little amp. An old PV Bandit 112. It's like 80 watts, very powerful. Made in the USA. At least 20 years ago. But anyway. Phil, Phil had a fall, I guess, and we haven't seen him for a while. And Phil, if you're out there watching somewhere, could you call in somehow, or email or something? Could you contact us here at PATV if you're out there somewhere? You could. Yeah, if you could call us up, that'd be. If not now, sometime. Or you could call me or something. We're trying to get you to.
It's fine on the monitor.
It looks.
On the monitor out in the front, you have a head.
Oh yeah. Because here you can only see
The headless guitar picker in here.
well, you can see the lower part of my head, my chin. In any case,
Or if anyone's in contact with Phil.
if anybody, if anybody knows how to find Phil, we'd like to get in contact with him, and I know he's recuperating from something, and he'll be sure he'll be back someday, but we'd like to talk to him before that. So Phil, I'm reaching out to you, man. I tried emailing you, but
Phil's our sound and graphics guy for those unfamiliar with him. Although I suppose everybody that watches this show, or has for very long, knows who he is.
yeah, well, like I say, Phil is a legend in his own time. which is a lot better than being a legend in his own mind, which is another. Which is one of my.
And he's not the current American Idol, he's the other Phil Phillips.
Is there a Phil Phillips who's American Idol?
Yeah.
Huh. There was a song, Sea of Love, Come With Me, My, but that's Phil Phillips. That was like 1952 or something like that. I looked it up, and different Phil. But
You were asking about Phil?
yeah,
I went to visit him on Christmas, but he was no longer at Mercy, so
Yeah.
I'm assuming he was discharged. And I've sent him an email after the show. I was going to go and check and see if he responded, because he does. I do have his email address. So
Yeah.
have you also tried to contact him by email?
I have huh, this isn't working. I too have sent him an email. I don't like that either. I sent him an email and I haven't got a response, and and he's not. He's not at home either. So. I'm sure
Well,
he's in rehab.
Okay, yeah. Without going into I know he's a very private person, so we can talk about
Yeah.
about. I'm going to see if we can get the phone. The phone in the control room is not hooked up to the line, so I'm going to, and just in case, and then I could throw up the telephone number in case anybody wants to call in. So hopefully we can get that worked out here.
Yeah, we should have a phone. It's a call-in show.
It is a call-in show. Remember those from the pre-tweet and iPhone
Boy,
days?
yeah. This show has been on for we're pushing 20 years now, and when we first were on, we get up to up to 17 calls. It was not. I mean, we count them, and 17 was not an unusual number. 15, 16, 18, and of course some of them there were prank calls we used to get in the old days. But then times have changed so much.
Or people wanting to buy a boat.
Yeah, that's right. That was one time where the phone number was wrong, and it was
Well, somebody put a boat for sale on Craigslist with our number.
yeah, and people kept calling about
Yeah.
wanting to buy a boat, and then they were really mad at us for not having a boat. So you shouldn't be putting that up. Say, well, we didn't put it up. You shouldn't be doing that. I was going to buy a boat. I do have a boat, a rowboat, but anyway. So yeah, I guess the times have changed. People don't, now we have YouTube and we have, Facebook. We even have MySpace, I think.
Maybe. I hear that's dying out, but
I heard it died out
apparently
a
it
long
still
time ago.
exists.
Sometimes I see things like I look at. It's funny. I played in this church, as a Journey Church in Coralville, which is a very open and expansive type of thing. I play there, and I'm not really a theist, but I play there on Sundays, and this woman showed a video about a peace pilgrim, which is an interesting woman who devoted her life to walking for peace, basically, having a tunic on that said 25,000 miles she walked from 1953 to 1981. She made all these trips to try to encourage people to be peaceful. But the interesting thing was that the woman who showed this had a little TV set that had the VCR built into it.
Yeah.
So it was a picture tube, analog TV, with a
I have one of those.
VHS. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I have one of those.
Yeah, really? Yeah.
Little, I think it's like an 11-inch TV with
Yeah.
a VHS deck underneath it.
Yeah. The thing is, the people who were there, the people who were attending were in their 20s. And,
Did they know what a VHS deck was?
yeah, well, I don't know if they. Anyway, it was just kind of funny. Then this woman who the peace pilgrim died in 1981. She was actually in a car accident. And she'd been walking for all these years, but she was in a car on the way to an interview or something and got killed. But then the video, of course, was made interviewing her and so forth, so it was made while she was still alive. And it reminded me of the old days. I was looking at some of these cars, and I used to have one of those, and things like that. It's something you don't see anymore. How many 68 Impalas do you see? Anyway, and Gremlin, and Chevy Vega, and then and of course the hairstyle and the glasses and everything. People had hairstyles and glasses.
That's the church out in Oakdale where you play Sundays?
Yeah. At Journey Church, it's right off of Oakdale Boulevard. Not hard to find. Just go up 965.
Do you play anywhere else on the weekends?
Well, I'm at Tuscan Moon on Friday, Saturday
That's in
night.
Kelowna?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they got the tree taken out, and I'm going to play a bunch of. Take more than one guitar again. I was stuck next to a Christmas tree. Didn't have much room at all, so I'm going to do a little different show. And did a bunch of Christmas music. I gave that up, and then I did Auld Lang Syne a bunch of times last Tuesday, when I wasn't here. And then
I guess this is our first chance to wish everybody Happy New Year.
yeah, 2014. You ready for that? Huh? I was trying to remember.
I did manage to write a check with the right date on it.
Oh, good. I haven't had the opportunity yet, but yeah, I was looking at something. It was something was posted once, and it was in 2012.
Oh, that's when the world ended.
Yeah, I guess that's right. The world ended in 2012, didn't it? What if it really did? This is all just a dream.
Yeah.
Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. No, I don't know.
It turned out when the Mayan calendar ran out, it was just time to get a new calendar.
I guess. Well, my calendar in the wall ran out, and then we got another one, and the world that keeps going on. Oh well.
Or I remember Y2K when most of the computer calendars were no good, so they sent us a list of what year to use instead of the year till they got the
Uh-huh.
computers reprogrammed.
Turned out to be not that big a deal.
No,
Some programmers had to work overtime, but
I
life
know
didn't end.
where I was working, the email was, we didn't get our email for about 3 months, and then we got it all at once, and nobody was sure where it had gone for 3 months.
Really? Out there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's on some server somewhere.
Sitting on some hard drive somewhere.
Yeah. Oh well. It's funny. Like a lot of people. I quit Facebook, and I haven't been tweeting very much lately. I was begrudgingly doing the tweets, and it seems that my website, which is old-fashioned to have a website, gets more traffic if I tweet more often. And I link things, and I link videos of other guitar players. And it's but I have trouble, being in touch with everybody else because everybody else is on Facebook. I just quit. It's really hard to quit too. It's hard to get off because if you link on any kind of Facebook thing, it puts you right back on again. If you opt out, it's really hard to opt out. So I finally got that out because I was figuring Big Brother was watching me, and I don't really do that much interesting stuff, but I didn't want to do it anymore.
I've never got on. Kept reading about how Facebook was selling everything they knew about you to everybody that would buy it.
Right.
I figured I don't need to be there.
Well, that's what everybody said. You got to do this for business, because I'm in show business. I do these gigs all the time, and I and then I have my little TV show and everything, and so of course people, they say you have to do that. And a lot of guitar players, a lot of musicians conduct all their business over Facebook, and that's what you do, And of course, I have the website, and which has everything that I need, I hope, on it, and all the links and everything. So this TV show is available there, and you can buy my music if you want, or listen to some of it for free, and you can read my opinions about various musical matters and so forth, and get links to Chet Atkins videos and things like that. But but the Facebook thing is this. When I did it, it was just all this kind of chit chat and being in touch with all your friends things, and I kind of wish I could stay in touch with some people better. I have one guy, an old buddy of mine, who's in touch with all these musicians he used to know in the old days through Facebook, and I get these requests to be his Facebook friend from time to time, and I can't even email back to him and say I don't do Facebook, but you can.
I've had a couple of emails inviting me to join somebody on Facebook, but since I'm not on Facebook,
Right. You're not on Facebook. Anyway, I don't know. So I don't know. I was waiting for it to go away. I mean, because it's they're selling everything they know about you to anybody who wants to buy it, and I think about just doing a strictly business Facebook thing. But even then, one thing is they can track where you, even when you log off of Facebook, they can still track what you're searching for on your computer. That's what I read.
well, I know Google keeps track of that. Every search you ever make for anything on Google, they have stored somewhere.
That's right. And you wonder what the NSA, like when there were various shootings that were happening, and there's this one automatic rifle that I'd heard of, and I didn't know that much about it, and so I Googled it, to see pictures of them and descriptions of them, and YouTube videos of people demonstrating this rather small carbine 222, basically, that was used for a bunch of, or was it 223? Anyway, it was used for, I think 223, but it was used for a bunch of these shootings, mass shootings.
Bushmaster?
Bushmaster, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the one the DC sniper used.
Yeah. And a guy shot up that school in Connecticut or whatever. Anyway, so because I was interested in that, I'm sure they're looking for. Probably not the only one. I'm just hoping that everything I do is boring enough that I won't attract attention. Of course, if somebody wants to be out to get me, and they can hack into that, or maybe they are a government official, if I say something wrong,
Yeah. Not so much anymore. When I first started using Google, if I Googled myself, I'd get hundreds of pages, but they're all the Bill Murray movie.
Oh, yeah. Because there's a character, Bob Wiley, was in the, what was that movie?
What about Bob?
What about Bob? Yeah. Well, there you go. You're famous.
Well, Bill Murray is.
Yeah. That's my right.
So anything that would actually be about me was buried in tons of Bill Murray.
Yeah. Well, I Googled Tom Nothnagel occasionally to see, where if anybody's writing about me, because sometimes I get their articles, or I appear in other people's articles in guitar magazines and stuff. Because I'm, ever so slightly famous.
Yeah.
But I keep getting there's Tom Nothnagel married Ella somebody, and I say, I don't remember that. Yeah. And then I looked at the date; it was 1886 or something like that.
There are numerous other Bob Wileys out there besides the Bill Murray one, and they show up now some. Since, like I say, the entries about Bill Murray's movie have kind of died down.
Yeah, times change. Yeah.
I'm sure they're still there, but they're old now. So.
Well, there are probably more Bob Wileys than there are Tom Nothnagels.
Probably.
Wiley's not that uncommon a name, is it?
No. Everywhere I go, it seems like there are some.
Yeah.
Most of whom, if they're related, it's distant enough relation that I don't know them. But.
Yeah. Well, my uncle was in. I have an uncle I haven't seen for a long time. He was around Christmas dinner. He was coming through and around somewhere around Christmas. And so my dad's from Western New York, from Rochester, New York area. Yeah. And basically, you can. There are a number of Nothnagels around there, but there was one couple, like in the 19th century, who had a whole bunch of kids. I think what happened was that some Nothnagel down somewhere along the line had to convert to Catholicism and married an Irish girl. Yeah. And everything. From that family, 10 kids here, and then my father. There were 8 kids in his family, and from and from those families, they were very prolific Catholic types, and it probably came about at a time when fewer people were killed by massive epidemics of infectious diseases, and the birth rate went up, and anyway. So from that union, I have all kinds of cousins there. I mean, I have hundreds of cousins.
That's my parents weren't Catholic, but my mom had 4 sisters and a brother, and my dad had 5 brothers and a sister. So
There you go.
cousins by the dozens.
Yeah, well, I have 20-some first cousins
Yeah.
in upstate New York, and I haven't seen any of them for years and years. I don't go there. I don't go up there very often. I like that area. I like the Finger Lakes. But if I could set up shop and do Tom's Guitar Show in Ithaca, New York, or someplace like that, around Cornell. Anyway, this is my baritone guitar. As you see, it's like, it goes low. So I can go like,
were saying before the show that kids' guitars tune the same as an adult guitar.
Yeah.
Can you get the same note out of a shorter string, or is it up an octave?
Well, you get the same note. The strings are looser and floppier, or else you get strings that are made of a denser material or thicker. So, like, we're talking about a young man who he has a half-size guitar, who played at the Christmas show or the winter concert, whatever. And his guitar is actually I got special strings for him. I think. Yeah, I guess I did. The third string is wound. It's a nylon string, but the third string is wound, and normally is not. So the metal winding, of course, makes the string, because it's more dense material.
Thicker
than
and a
nylon,
lower note.
makes a lower note, because it's the things that determine the pitch are the tension on the string, the length of the string, and then the diameter of the string, and the composition of the material, the mass.
Yeah.
And so some denser materials, of course, a metal string, like one of these strings is a really skinny little wire. On a nylon string guitar, it's a much thicker piece of nylon, because nylon's a lot lighter than steel. Oh, anyway. We're talking about the different size guitars, because this is a baritone guitar, so a regular guitar would be like this. This guitar at the 5th fret, right? So this neck is longer and the strings are different. There's a special set designed for this kind of guitar, baritone set. So it's a 4th lower than a regular guitar. There's a thing called an alto guitar, which in Latin America is a requinto guitar. And by the way, as an aside, I got in a lot of trouble because I was talking about the requinto here, and I was calling it a requinto because that's what this professor of a guitar consort was calling it.
Iowa accent.
Yeah, well, he was from Texas, but he was he was an Anglo, a requinto. So I was talking.
Not a Texican.
Yeah, not a Texan. So he, Tejano. So he was talking requinto, and so I was, just parroting what I heard in a lecture about the requinto guitar, and then I got a whole lot of. We posted it on YouTube, the clip from this show some years ago, and I got a whole lot of backlash. No, it's spelled out phonetically. Requinto, requinto, and I know, but it's requinto in English in my country. So I call it alto guitar, so nobody gets mad at me, because that's another word for it, alto. So like in like I got the recorders, that the kids play. That usually kids get this plastic soprano recorder in 3rd grade or something to play, but they have the alto one, and then they have the tenor. And then they have the bass one, which requires like a little tube to go into it like this, and you pull it like a bassoon, And then you have the sopranino, which is about this big. So the same thing exists in guitars.
Well, it's like the flutes in the band up at the senior center. They range from, a piccolo. On up to I don't know what they call the big one, but there's a big flute.
There's a bass flute. There's a alto flute. There's or saxophones. You got the soprano sax, which is usually straight. I mean, they also have the sax shape, but the newer ones are look like a clarinet that's made out of metal, like that. Kenny G plays the soprano sax, and people hate him for it. But they have the alto, and they have the tenor, which is bigger. The baritone, and you got bass.
I think people hate Kenny G for playing elevator music.
Yeah, well, yeah, poor Kenny. But anyway, and then they have there's a commercial with him in it, and it's like
for candy bars.
Candy bars.
Snickers.
So if they get if you lose your edge and get really, you need to eat the candy bar, you won't be like Kenny G anymore.
Right.
Like, gee, Kenny, well, they probably paid it pretty well.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing anything else these days, but anyway, maybe he's in Branson. Maybe not. Anyway, never mind. Okay, so anyway, I guess what I'm saying is that so I study this stuff because I care about guitars for some reason. I just was born this way, Another off the topic thing, but people are talking about like gay people and transgendered people and so forth, and basically apparently you're born that way, and that's what you have to deal with who you are.
So you're guitar oriented.
I'm a guitar oriented person, yeah. I mean, I do other things too, but mostly I just do guitar. So anyway, so I've been studying this different size guitar thing for years, and there's some university in Australia where the guy had a builder, and this is a builder that I was interested in, and looking at the builder, I found this guitar consort. So he had this whole thing built. He had a double bass guitar, which is like double bass fiddle, that is on a little like a little tripod thing on the floor, and you stand up to it and play it, like this. And then they had like a, like a bass guitar, which is like a cello, basically, of Guitar World, 6 strings though. Then they have the baritone guitar, which is tuned like this. These are all classical guitars, acoustic with nylon strings. So they have one of these, and then they have the regular guitar, which is considered a tenor. Then they have the alto guitar, which is a requinto, which would be like a guitar, would be like a regular guitar with at the 5th fret. And then they had a soprano guitar, which was like a whole step higher. And then they had the sopranino guitar, which is like, half of a regular guitar, like a guitar at the 12th fret, basically tuned up in the violin or mandolin range. So they had this whole consort, and they would do concerts where everybody would, it'd be like an orchestra. In the orchestra, you got your violin, right? You got your viola, which is, 5th lower. Then you got your cello, which is an octave below the viola. Then you have your double bass, which is really low. It's in double bass clef. So anyway, the same thing exists in guitars. Over history, people have played different sized guitars. And there's like requinto is popular in Latin America. You ever listen to Los Panchos, which I think still exist with different personnel, but they were like in the 40s. They were, I think they started out in New York City, but the 2 of the guys were Mexican, one was Puerto Rican. And then they went to Mexico, which was like the hub of Latin American music. I think it still is where most of the recordings are done. And also where they make the most Spanish language soap operas. But anyway, Los Panchos, they had 2 guys with regular guitars, and then they had a guy up front, like the lead singer and the lead guitar player, playing an alto guitar. Requinto, and singing, tenor, lead. Yeah. So you have these other 2 guys in the back with their guitars doing different things. Parts, and then the guy with the high-pitched guitar up front singing the high part also. So he was a tenor playing an alto guitar. So anyway, yeah, I just think it's interesting. I'd like to do a thing where I, line everything up, loop them all together. Maybe next week.
Play with 3 of yourself in a quartet.
Yeah. Well, you can do that with a looper and a mixer. So, Skobinski's here. Should switch over so you're on camera.
Well, I hope this isn't too off topic, but you did bring up Mexican telenovelas.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of them do get made in Mexico, but also they get made in Venezuela, and now increasingly in Florida. A lot of them are this morning I heard the news that one of my favorite telenovela stars, who is actually from Venezuela, was murdered. In Venezuela, she and her husband and her 4-year-old daughter. Apparently they're having a lot of problems with these carjackings where people run you off the highway and then rob you. And in this case, she and her husband were murdered. The daughter is safe. She's like 4 or 5 years old. But that's breaking news today on Telemundo. But I just watched her in a telenovela last summer, Pasión Prohibida. Anybody who watches Telemundo and saw that, it's Monica Spear. That's what her name is.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Had you heard of that?
I think I heard that she died. Yeah.
Yeah, she was a former Miss Venezuela.
Yeah.
But she looked very atypical. One of the things I liked about her, a lot of the Miss Venezuela contestants, kind of go under the knife for various reasons, and she wasn't like that at all. She had a very natural looking, appearance and very intelligent. She did a lot of work with people with mental handicaps, and she would even bring them to along with her when she had to appear as a star. Adult people with disabilities and stuff like that. So she's very cool person, and so yeah, the Latin world is waking up to that bad news today. So may I ask where you heard it? Because
I think it was a headline on some news feed that I look at, some blog where they post all kinds of different news.
Okay, because one of the American networks, either NBC or ABC, co-owns Telemundo, and that's where her soap operas have been airing. So they may have mentioned it there too. But yeah, it's kind of it's an unfortunate circumstance, and the fact of that kind of violence. I mean, we've had it here in the United States. There was
but it's much worse there from what I've heard. I've known people from Venezuela that.
Well,
there was
Not only Venezuela, but Mexico, and that's probably why most of the Latin stars, for example, live in Miami because they're afraid they're constantly prone to carjacking, kidnapping, and murder like that.
Yeah. That's what I know a guy who took lessons from me for a while. Got really busy though. He's a medical student, and he was actually a doctor in Venezuela, and he had no love for Hugo Chavez, who's also deceased now, but because he's not indigenous at all. He was like, anyway, he was saying that he was that you just had to be really careful in Caracas. You just he was a doctor there, and of course they had much lower standards in many ways than they do here. You go to medical school right out of high school, and by the time you're 23, you're a doctor, and you're put to work in some sort of hospital, which is totally understaffed and everything. And so he came here because he wanted to do, more up-to-date medicine and research. And but he had to take this big test to be, Anyway, but he was saying that he went down to Miami, and you go street after street, and you would never hear English spoken. It was all Spanish, and then he kept running into people that he knew from before that had moved there, and it was like this Latin American paradise. Because you might think, well, Miami, crime rates, but the crime rate is so much lower. I mean, you can just walk down the street and you're not afraid at all. Whereas he had to be you just had to be really careful. In Venezuela, the crime rate was really high, and then we talked about Colombia and Mexico also. Colombia is a very dangerous place to be for kidnapping and so forth. And I don't know why, but it's
yeah, it's a shame. All of these countries that we're talking about here have such tremendous potential. They've got human capital, they've got resources. Venezuela and Mexico both have oil, and it's a shame that these problems are so chronically entrenched there. It's holding them back from being first world countries. Yeah. But you mentioned the standard of living. From what I understand, the car that Monica Spear and her husband were driving in America would be considered a modest car. It was actually a fairly new Toyota Corolla. Here, that would be considered kind of a modest car, but there, I guess they were singled out as having money or something, because I guess it was in Target. So, unfortunate state of events in the world that we address here in Tom's Guitar Show.
Well, there are a lot of people who are, but according to this guy that I know, that they'll talk to you about it on a number of occasions, that they moving to Miami, and that's the place to be.
Yeah, that's Miami is pretty much the capital of the Latin American world right now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Brush up on your Spanish.
Yeah.
Sorry, I made a mistake because I don't have a good. I got a new guitar, a new amp, and I'm using this box here because my stool is too high. I bought a new stool also. I've been
Upgrading the equipment.
yeah, or just at least my new stool has a back on it, and it's the same stool that I use at Tuscan Moon in beautiful downtown Kelowna, right next to the bakery.
Friday and Saturday nights?
Friday, Saturday nights, yeah. I'll sit on a stool exactly like this one from the True Value hardware store there, or Ace hardware store, I guess. Yeah.
Reservations recommended?
Yeah, you'd probably do well to get a reservation. It was dead as a doornail on Friday. They told me not to come in, but Saturday it was booming. So, who knows?
So call ahead if they want to be sure you're there.
Yeah. Yeah, I might call ahead, and it's a funny season. The place does pretty well. I mean, does best in the summer, though, with the outdoor patio and everything.
Probably a lot of people were partied out from but it would have been Tuesday, wouldn't it?
Tuesday, yeah. I had an advantage over other people in that I didn't wake up Wednesday morning with a hangover. I'm just there to play guitar, not to. No champagne for me. Anyway, so I got a new stool, got a new amp, a new guitar here. I'm all. I will say that the guitar was used, and the amp is at least 20 years old, as far as I can tell. It's got that red stripe on it. That looks really 90s. And the logo for the PV has changed. And I don't know if they make an amp like this in the USA anymore. I don't think they do. I think they make some of the really high-class tube amps in the USA, but I think everybody else is Asian. They call Pac Rim. And this dual is new to me, but it's been at the Ace Hardware store for quite a long time, and it's a little bit loose. Fill in your own joke. Okay, what is
Well,
it?
well, you have to look under the seat. There's probably bolts there you can tighten or something.
There aren't, though.
Oh, there aren't?
Yeah, it's just like, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to, yeah, probably if I take this upholstery off the bottom, but then I don't want to do that. So, it's not too bad. Yet, I'm sure if I take the upholstery off the bottom, there will be something I can tighten there, but I'll wait, so. Anyway, they gave me a deal on it, because it's,
Because it sat around the store for a long time?
yeah. Kind of nice, though, sitting up high like this and having a back on it. of fun. Baritone guitar. So I think 4 minutes left. Oh boy, it's almost all over then, huh? First one of the show of the year, huh?
Yeah.
This will be the. So this show started in 1994, in its present form. The original Tom's Guitar Show was 1990. But that was a 6-part episode, or 6 episodes on how to play the guitar, the guitar lesson thing. This is, so I'm thinking about making a documentary, The Life and Times of Tom's Guitar Show. But it's been my dream for a while. Maybe do like a Kickstarter or FundMe type of thing and try to hire the people.
Do you have any video of all the interns?
Not all of them. I have a whole bunch of video though. I have like 3/4 inch U-matic, and the last 3/4 inch U-matic deck died some years ago here. So I'd have to find somebody who could transfer them to some digital form we could use. And it has SVHS and stuff. And there's some stuff on Hi8 tape. I mean, some raw footage of things that we used for roll-ons and stuff in the old days. But to get
Well, Hi8 I can transfer, but I can't do any good with SVHS or whatever the other thing is you said.
so you still got a Hi8 camera that works?
Well, I have a digital 8 that'll play Hi8.
I see. Oh, there you go. Well, we'll have to do something someday. This year, probably. Start. It was 20th year of Tom's Guitar Show, 1994, now it's 2014, so I think it started this summer, though, if I remember correctly, late summer. Because I moved back from California in July of 1994, and then I've been working in show business, and I lost my job, and I needed something to do, and so I started Tom's Guitar Show. 20 years ago. I gave you the best years of my life, PATV.
Like Mac Davis, rock and roll, I gave you all the best years of my life.
Yeah. Well, or Joni Mitchell had a line, I gave you all my pretty years. I don't know if I could say that, but I can say anything I want, whether
Yeah.
not anybody will believe it. Anyway, the other thing I want to do is I want to, a lot less work. So I have a 6-string bass guitar that goes way low, I mean really low. And then I have this, and I have a bunch of regular guitars, and then I have another guitar that I had been stringing up really high. It's a little shorter, and I would string it really high to be an alto electric guitar. And then I have an electric mandolin. I was thinking of us like lining them all up on stands and making one big loop, stepping from one to the other. Anyway. I guess we'll be back next week.